So I'm recording on Zoom. I wanted to do this as a Facebook webinar as far as going to show you all of these beautiful slides, but it's not working. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And because I am doing it this way, it is actually not going to let me see any comments or who is on. So I apologize if you are commenting. I will go ahead and get back to this later. So please feel free to leave me comments or of course message me with any questions that you have. So anyways, I want to thank those of you who have been following my podcast, and you're going to see that I'm actually going to be posting my Facebook Lives to my podcast from here on out. That is my chosen way to communicate, is actually through Facebook Live. It's my favorite. It's authentic. You get to see me. You get to see my nuances. Hopefully the love that I have for you will come through. And it just really is my favorite way to work. So if you are not currently following my podcast, I'll put, of course, in the comments below later, I will put a link to it so that you can find it. I will be running out of here as soon as I'm done with this. So it might not be till this evening, but I want to go through this webinar with you and you can find it on my podcast. I am going to be posting it to a YouTube channel, and I will repost the Zoom recording to here so that you can actually see the slides later. So I apologize that you're not getting that right now. That's a bummer. I will figure that out later. But so healing your inner child without feeling like you're losing your mind. Doing this for me was a very long process, and I did feel like I was losing my mind during it because I just didn't understand myself and who I was. So let's see here. Let's see if it's going to let me work. There we go. So can you relate to this? Seminars, trainings, self-help books, like, have you tried all of these things? You have knowledge, like you're super smart, you know a lot of things. That's not your issue. Maybe you're even very wise. Maybe people already come to you for information. So what I'm about to go through, kind of, maybe you haven't done a lot of self-help, maybe you haven't done a lot of leadership trainings or seminars or all those things, but a lot of people that have come to me have. I know they have. And so there's this thing that happens is you have this knowledge, but you're not necessarily feeling good enough, like worthy to do these things that you're training yourself for. It's this really weird thing. You don't, and maybe you hit a wall, like you can't seem to do anything about it. Have you ever felt like you're in a hamster wheel going nowhere? You just keep spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. You have dreams, you have goals, you have talents and aspirations, but maybe you often find yourself sabotaging your efforts. I've been there. Let me tell you. So whether you're a young person, and let me see, my computer's gonna do all kinds of funky things as we're going through this. I'm so excited about that. Whether you're a young person and you're just starting out, your journey is just beginning and you've kind of got the world at your fingertips, you know, you're ready to jump off, you're heading towards a successful life, whether that's a family, career, travel, whatever that looks like for you. Or maybe you're a more experienced person, but you know, you have more to give. You still have an impact in life to make. You are ready to maybe move on to that next stage in your life. You know, you probably have had a great life, but there's just something that's holding you back from having the impact that you want. In this webinar, I want to start you on that journey. It is a process, and that is why I say I'm starting it. There is a lot to it. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed and be like, oh my gosh, is this going to take me 10 years? No, it won't. But I find that as I continue to grow, I continue to learn more about myself, take personality tests, all of that, that I am learning more about myself, and something else heals with every layer. So when I say I'm starting you on this journey, yes, you're going to have some major movement in your healing process. but it is a process. So it's not going to all heal today, and it's not going to all heal in the, the upcoming video casts that I have. It's gonna take a little bit more time than that, but I think we're gonna be able to help you with some cool stuff. So next slide, if it will work. Come on, there we go. So my goal is to help you to have success in your life by healing your inner child. I actually have been on this journey for quite some time, and I really feel like I just might be a couple steps ahead of you. Maybe I'm only 1, maybe I'm 10. I don't know, but I would love to kind of help you start on this journey. I have been trained, maybe like you, maybe, as I said, you're coming in here and you're like, I've already done all this training. Maybe you're a life coach, but you just got this one barrier. I too, I've had marriage coach training, financial coach, business leadership training. I've been a teacher and like so much more. So logically, it didn't make sense why I had this barrier. There was no reason for it. And yet that's what I found was happening anyways. So I remember for me, when I was healing my inner child, the more that, before I actually recognized it, it was becoming more and more and more obvious. I could see as I started to unveil this concept where this little girl had been in my past. I could start to almost tangibly see her. It was really interesting, and I don't want to sound like it's like multiple personalities or weird or anything like that, but I could see where she was showing up. And I'll be honest with you, I was pretty shocked when I really recognized what was going on. I realized I'd been dealing with depression. I'd been sabotaging myself in many ways, but yet I still saw myself as a outgoing, fun, loving person. And so I just didn't see myself this way. Like the way that I was starting to see myself, I just didn't see it. Robin Williams was a big eye-opener for me because everyone thought of him as fun and, comedian and all that stuff. And yet he was depressed inside and did not share that with people. And so, unless they were close. And that was an eye-opener for me. Like, whoa, oh my gosh, that is so me. I was enlightened. I could definitely see that there were ties from way back in my past that had been holding me back. And so it was really important to me to start cutting those ties. There was unworthiness, shame, guilt, all these things that were tied to this little girl. I was also determined. Honestly, I was beyond ready to get to work, probably more than I should have been, which is really funny to say, but it's true. I completely tried to take the bull by the horns and do it all myself. And I quickly learned that that wasn't going to work. So I'm going to ask you, are you tired? Are you tired of, working hard, training, learning, building, and feeling like you're not going anywhere? Oh, my computer. It's just being so lovely today. Do you struggle to fully succeed in the ways that you want to? Do you find yourself wearing a mask almost everywhere you go? Maybe even to yourself. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you want to be? Do you lack focus or commitment? Do you commit to more things than you can handle? Do you feel like you have to prove your worth through your works? Do you jump from project to project without finishing them? In group settings with other adults, do you feel like you don't belong, especially thinking that everyone else in the room is more qualified than you? Do you often feel depressed, defeated, exhausted, when deep down you actually feel like you are more outgoing and happy and energetic? Trainings, coaching, mentorship, personality tests, and self-help types of learning are not bad things. They're really not. In fact, I would say they're necessary to grow if you have ambitions, right? However, without healing your inner child, you will find yourself constantly taking a few steps forth and more steps back. Doing this big step that we're going to walk through is going to give you freedom to become a full-purposed person that God wants you to be. I'm very excited about this. Oh my goodness, my computer. Okay, I'm sorry, I keep complaining, but it is just being funky. So walking through this with others has actually been a privilege for me. I didn't know that I was going to be doing this, but I have already been able to start helping some women walk through their past hurts, and a couple of men too. So this is not just for women. I do work more specifically with women because I'm usually dealing with women's sex lives. And that is kind of my niche, but this is a big one for others as well. Helping people to really learn who they are has really begun to move the needle for them as well, and become a person that is living with purpose and freedom. It's been very cool. So to heal your inner child without going crazy, there are 3 secrets, and these 3 secrets are an umbrella to the steps. So some of these you're going to be like, well, duh, yes, of course that's how it should be, but I tell you that they are not as obvious sometimes. Like for me, it was not the first thing I turned to, which it should have been, but it wasn't. So probably the first one, you've probably already guessed it, is prayer. The second one is having a purpose. And the third one, and finding that purpose, not just having it, but finding it, and then learning to live in the freedom. It is not as easy as you think. So did you know that prayer is not this legalistic thing? There's not this right way, perfect way to pray. God really wants you to pray from your heart. He wants you to talk to him like you're a dad. We can actually handle anything that is sent your way if you learn to pray very specifically. That is something that I have been walking women through for a little bit. I don't know why, maybe because I struggled with prayer for such a long time. I have learned to truly look at God as my daddy. And when you guys see this, you will see I have this beautiful picture here with my dad, because God speaks to me in visuals. And sometimes we don't have the best visual of God as our dad because of all the things, all the religious things that, you know, you hear. And I like to cut that religious stuff out, to be quite honest, and I'm not getting into a theological talk here, but I like to cut straight to the idea of God is my dad. I have a direct connection, and I'm going to talk to him just like I would talk to my dad. So that can be hard, and it does take practice, not because it's really difficult to do, but because a lot of people think that there's a special way you have to pray. And being able to let go of that has moved the needle for me in more ways than I can actually tell you. So for the steps that we will be taking, you really need specific prayer. I kind of talked about this, but when I decided to take God at his word and start approaching him as my dad, my image of a dad wasn't necessarily the best, to be honest, but he was gracious and used the dads in my life to show me glimpses of him. Before that, prayer kind of always confused me. I heard there were so many ways that I was supposed to do it. So I didn't feel close to God, and I usually didn't pray. So I've learned that God wants our hearts. I have had many people tell me that they appreciate the way that I pray, which is, like I said, ironic because I always felt like a bad prayer. But is there really such a thing? I've been able to walk several women and men through praying from their hearts when they ask specifically for what they want and they can really feel like they're close to God. So I want that for you too. So originally when I did these, I was actually making a coaching course, but I do want to still share these with you guys. So the next slide is actually a testimonial that I've had. I've changed the names for, you know, anonymous purposes, but Eris couldn't believe that she could get so much out of the steps from specific prayer, seeing the way, and she even said that seeing the way everything played out after that, I truly believe it made all the difference within these steps. So the steps are great, but they're nothing without the prayer. Oh my goodness. There we go. So we do have some amazing steps. I do have amazing steps for you. I'm very excited. I'm not turning this into a coaching program right now, but I do actually have the steps, and I've been able to walk through through it with several women, as I said. But we can, without learning how to pray very specifically, as I already said, the steps are just that, more steps, more of what you've already been doing and finding that you haven't been able to move forward in. Having a purpose. So God does have a specific purpose for you, you know, for making you, for making you, there's a story that you are meant to share. There's an impact that you are meant to make. So you have this, you've probably had this roadblock for quite some time. I know that I lived with mine for like my whole life, 21 years. So it's time to start moving forward. God made me who I am. And when I realized that God created me to be the person I am, meaning that He gave me everything about myself, my personality, gifts, talents, desires, learning style, love language, and so much more, I could see that I had a reason for being on this planet. And what I learned is that as I learn more about myself and figuring out why I'm really here, really started to make a difference for me once I dealt with this issue. I had to open my mind to, you know, more possibilities and see that I can have an impact in my life. This gave me motivation to go through the tough things, such as healing healing my inner child and dealing with those difficult things that I never cared to face. And so facing this inner child just to do it, you might not, because what's the purpose? What's the reason? You really have to know what it is that you are trying to work towards in order to take these difficult steps, because they are difficult. Again, I have another little testimonial. So when we started talking about impact and purpose in our lives, Carly was completely awakened. This was really cool. I never thought about how I could use my own hurts to help others. The possibilities are endless, and it's so true. When you do heal these, not only do you get to share your story with somebody else, but you just don't know how you're going to help someone and what kind of impact you're going to make because you finally dealt with this. So fun and so exciting. I say it like it's this like airy, breezy, fun thing. It is hard. It's hard work, but it's beautiful, and it really does help others when you do. Knowing your purpose, healing the past hurts, and seeing the potential in yourself will change your life. You have a story to share, but it starts with you first. Just like in the airplanes, you need to put on your air mask before you can help someone else. If you are suffocating with past hurts and pains and sorrows, there's no way you're going to be able to help the person next to you. You need to be overflowing with the breath of God and His purpose before you get to help others. Again, I'm going to let you guys know, in case you're just jumping in, my Facebook Live is not allowing me to show you these beautiful slides that I have made for you. So I am recording this on Zoom Live so that you can see this. And I will post this later. So in case you're kind of like, what is she looking at? What is she showing? She seems like she's showing us something. I will link this in the comments. And for my podcast, I will put the video in the notes so that you can check it out. So you will have access to this. So the final secret to all of this, to the steps that I'm going to be sharing with you, is to start living in freedom. Now, you may think, well, yeah, duh, live in freedom. Sounds easy. It's really not. It is a learned thing to live in freedom. We don't all just automatically do that. It's crazy how much I thought that I was living this way. I thought that this was a part of who I was just naturally. But as I started to learn these things, I realized how much I was not living in freedom. I had a lot of things that were holding me back in my past and in my hurts. So it was a really important thing for me to go through these steps. So living in freedom is all about learning to be you. You get to have the freedom to decide what is in your life. You can create the life that you want to live and decide the path that you are going to take. So now I know, now that I know who I am, I get to live freely. I can stop letting the negative tapes play in my head. I can stop allowing others to influence so much in my life. I can be more honest about who I am and how I feel. I can advocate for myself and take care of me more. I can stop worrying about what other people think. These are huge. And I got to tell you, self-advocacy was not something that I was strong about. And so I would let people walk all over me. I would allow toxic people to influence my life. And it actually went on for a long time. I just didn't know how to love myself enough to stop allowing that to happen. I am not a person who needs to be walked all over, and God does not have that as my purpose. Yes, I'm kind. Yes, I'm loving. Yes, I'm sincere. Yes, I'm considerate, but that doesn't mean that I let everybody just walk all over me. So living it does take practice. I had lived with the negative for so long in my life and had formed habits that didn't allow me to live in freedom. I found that I had some house cleaning to do when I began to allow myself to move forward. I was used to allowing negative thoughts to ruin my day, or to wear clothes that didn't make me feel good, or I would just let people walk all over me. I had so many layers of things that I did not do to care for myself that I was not living in freedom at all. So I had to learn to practice advocating for myself to live in the freedom that I was meant to live in. And it's advocating for myself in everything, in what I eat, in what I wear, in my career, in my church, everywhere, everything that I do, learning to not just, let people walk all over me. And it's not that they always mean to. Sometimes I just wouldn't be honest enough to say, you know what? No, I really don't want to do that. Or, it just doesn't sound like it's the time for me. That's really important. So this is actually a quote from myself. I used to think that taking care of myself as such a chore. But when I started practicing changing my mindset about it, I realized I love specific parts of taking care of me. And now I look forward to it. Sometimes you don't realize you weren't living in freedom until you begin to. Caring and advocating for yourself because you love yourself are stepping stones to living in true freedom. I have implemented several just really little things in my life that originally I did think of as chores. I did think, oh, it takes so much time. I don't want to do this. But there was one morning as I was kind of starting, going through this process of healing myself, loving myself, advocating for myself, that this is so silly, but I was washing my face, of all things. I had gotten through my cleanser and my toner, and then with really hot water. I do this with really, really hot water. And then I was putting on my lotion and just rubbing my face, and I thought, gosh, this feels like a massage. And I don't know why, but that clicked in my head of like, I really enjoy this process. And I just needed, I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't think of that, you know, just like on my own. It just hit me. Pretty sure that was a revelation from the Lord. But it was just what I needed to switch my brain to, no, I love taking care of myself in the morning. This is one little way in the morning that I can bless me and therefore be more happy as I go throughout my day. So again, to heal your inner child without going crazy, without feeling like you're going crazy, these 3 overarching secrets are what are needed in order to go through the steps. And again, I'll repeat that. It's prayer, knowing your purpose, and living in freedom. So let me ask you a question. Are you feeling overwhelmed by all of this information? I know it's a lot. I know I just took about 30 minutes of your life and I'm sharing a lot of information with you. I am going to be doing 6 weeks of podcasts. Here I have it on video calls, hands-on experiences. I am going to still have those hands-on experiences for you. Not going to be doing the video calls at this time. As I mentioned, I'm not actually going to turn this into a coaching course right now. I will probably do that later as I feel more ready to do so. But with my time at the moment, end of senior year with my daughter, beginning college for her and my son next year. I mean, we're taking classes as a family. We've got so much going on. So not to make up excuses, but that really, as I started to think about doing a coaching course, I thought, you know what, I don't have the time for that right now. However, I really want to walk through these steps with you guys. So what I am going to commit to doing is taking a 10 to 15 minute podcast, video podcast. I'll do it Facebook Live first, and then I will repost those as podcasts in other formats so that you guys can see them wherever you're listening to me or watching me from. And I'm going to leave you with some hands-on experiences to do, some application, and you are going to get growth and healing. And I'm very excited about that for you and for me, because I'm excited to walk through it with you. The steps are going to be recognition and guidance. 2, that was number 1. Number 2 is soul medication. Number 3 is true grace. Number 4, or step 4, is your journey. Number 5 is self-affection. And number 6 is mind, spirit, and soul care. So I'm actually going to stop here. I'm looking through my, yep, nope, we're done with that. So done with the slides there. They were gorgeous. Yes, I'm going to save. Sorry, my computer is being funky. Anyways, you are seeing all of this if you see my live video later. I'm just really excited to share these steps with you guys, and I definitely would love to walk through these steps with you. There's 7 weeks because there's an introduction week, which I didn't talk about, but that's okay. And I will be posting the video with the slides probably this evening. I'm going to do my best to get it out this evening so that you guys can see that video. And then probably next week, I will pick a date and time so that I'm on every week so that you know when I'm going to be here. And you can tune in and be on with me. I would love that. I would love to have some interaction with you guys. And so then we will just go through that 10 to 15 minute step. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. If you did, and I will, or if you're seeing this later, that's awesome too. So I will be in touch. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to message me. And again, I will put my podcast in here. So if it's easier for you to listen to it through podcast, awesome. I will have that as well. All right, guys, have a lovely day. Bye.